Have you ever just felt that urge to walk? To just leave everything behind for a little while and go on a journey that's as much about your inner world as the world outside? Well, today we're diving into one of the most profound walking journeys on the entire planet. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first, let's just wrap our heads around the scale here. We're talking about 1,200 kilometers. That's about 750 miles. This is a massive, massive undertaking that goes all the way around an entire island in Japan. So seriously, just think about that for a second. How long do you think it would take you on your own 2 feet to cover that much ground? We're going to get to the answer, but the real question isn't how long it takes, but what you find along the way. Right, so this is way more than just a long hike. This is the Shikoku Henro, and it's one of the only major circular pilgrimage routes in the entire world. For centuries, people have been walking this very same path, literally following in the footsteps of a legendary Buddhist monk. So what is it exactly? Well, it's this ancient path that links up 88 sacred temples all across Japan's Shikoku Island. The whole thing is tied to this monk, Kūkai. You'll also hear him called Kōbō Daishi, who lived about 1,200 years ago. So yeah, we're talking about a journey that is absolutely steeped in history. But why? Why would anybody do this? Well, the reasons are pretty much all over the map. For some people, it's a deeply religious act. For others, it's about praying for a sick family member or walking in memory of someone they've lost. But honestly, a lot of people today just do it to, disconnect from regular life, to have a big adventure, find some headspace, and maybe figure out what's next. It's really a path for everyone. And this is where it gets really beautiful. There's this core belief at the heart of the whole journey, Dogyo Ninen. It means two traveling together. The idea is that no matter why you're walking, you are never actually alone. Kōbō Daishi himself is considered your constant spiritual companion, right there with you every single step of the way. Okay, so let's say you're feeling that pull, the call to the road. How in the world do you even start planning something this massive? A 1,200-kilometer trek? Yeah, that can feel a little overwhelming. So let's break down the big questions: how to do it, when to go, and what you're going to need. Now, this is super interesting. While walking is, the traditional way to do it, and yep, there's the answer to our question, it takes about 6 weeks on foot. It is definitely not the only way. You can see here, you could take a chartered bus tour or even drive it, and that cuts the time down like crazy. It all just comes down to your budget, how much time you've got, and what kind of journey you're really after. And when it comes to timing, oh man, that is crucial, especially if you're planning to walk 30 kilometers a day. The sources all agree, spring and autumn are the absolute sweet spots. You get these perfect, comfortable temperatures, none of that sticky summer heat or freezing winter wind, and you get the bonus of seeing Japan at its most beautiful. Think cherry blossoms in the spring or those incredible fall colors. And get this, you don't have to quit your job and disappear for 2 months to do this. While the traditional way, the junuchi, is to do the whole loop in one go, a ton of people do what's called kugiriuchi. That just means you do it in sections. Maybe you tackle one of the island's prefectures each year on your vacation. It makes this epic, life-changing journey something that can actually fit into a modern life. So much more accessible, right? All right, you've figured out the how and the when. Now it's time for the fun part, the gear. The traditional pilgrim outfit you see, well, it's not a costume. Every single piece has a practical job to do and a really deep meaning behind it. Okay, these are your big 3. The white vest, the hakui, symbolizes purity, but just as important, it makes you super visible to cars on the road. The cone-shaped hat, the sugegasa, that's going to be your best friend, seriously. It keeps the sun and the rain off you. And then there's the staff, the kongozue. This is the most important piece of gear you have. It's not just a walking stick. They say it's Kōbō Daishi himself walking with you. It's your support, your guide, everything. Okay, so that's what you wear. What do you carry? Well, you have your Nokyo-cho, which is basically your spiritual passport. At every temple, you get these gorgeous stamps and calligraphy. It's your proof of the journey. Then you have these little paper slips, osame-fuda. Think of them like your calling card. You leave one at each temple, and you also give them to people who help you out. And finally, a huzu, a rosary, which just helps you focus when you're praying. So, you're all planned out, you're geared up, and you finally hit the trail. What is a day actually like out there? What happens at the temples? And who are you going to meet? After a few days, you get into this really beautiful rhythm. At each of the 88 temples, there's a simple, respectful routine. You bow when you enter the main gate, you wash your hands and mouth to purify yourself, you ring the bell, just once, to let the gods know you've arrived. Then you go to the main hall, light some incense, leave your name slip, and say your prayers. You do the same thing at the Daishi Hall for Kōbō Daishi. And the last stop, the office, to get that amazing stamp in your book. It becomes this really peaceful, grounding part of your day. Now, this next part is something you will experience that is just incredible. It's called osettai. It's this culture of giving where the local people who live along the path will just offer you things. A piece of fruit, a bottle of water, maybe some candy. And this isn't pity or charity. For them, it's a way to take part in the pilgrimage with you. By giving to you, they're making an offering to Kōbō Daishi. So, what do you do when this happens? This is really, really important. The proper thing to do is to politely and gratefully accept what they offer. It's actually considered more respectful to accept than to refuse. And then, as a thank you, you give them one of your name slips, your osamefura. It's this really simple but incredibly powerful human connection that happens over and over again on the trail. So after all that, after weeks and weeks on the road, after all the sore muscles and quiet moments, what's it all for? What's the real point of the journey? And the sources are really, really clear about this. This is probably the most important takeaway. The pilgrimage isn't about collecting 88 stamps. It's not a race. It's an opportunity. The physical challenge, the daily quiet rituals, the unbelievable kindness you encounter, it all works together to give you this space to just think, to reflect on your life, to work through your stuff, and to maybe, just maybe, change for the better. In the end, the Shikoku pilgrimage is just one example of a journey like this. But it represents something universal, right? And it kind of leaves you with a question for yourself. If you needed to step outside your own life for a while, to really find yourself, what journey would you take?